Hey everyone, and welcome to the Wolfpacker Show. My name's Ethan McDowell, and I am joined, as I always am, by Noah Fleischman. And we are here to preview a rivalry week matchup against North Carolina. The Wolfpack, ranked number 22 in the college football playoff poll for the first time this season, are going to be defending their home turf on Senior Day at Carter Finley Stadium, an 8 p.m. kickoff on the ACC network. There's a lot of interesting storylines to follow along in this matchup, a lot of interesting showdowns between, it's a strength on strength game, a high powered offense versus an elite defense. It's those kind of games that are going to be must see TV. And we're going to talk all about it. But before we do so, just wanted to say a quick shout out to the Wolfpacker.com. We are both writers for the Wolfpacker.com. It is NC State's site on the On3 network. On that site, you can find everything from football analysis to basketball news, recruiting scoops, and everything in between. We've got it all on there right now. Right now, it is only $1 to join for your first month on there for new subscribers, or you can subscribe for 50% off your first year. It's a great deal. It's here for Rivalry Week only, so go check that out. There's really no better time to join right now because you got UNC coming up, and then it's just the bowl push, and then it's chaos from now to the end of the year with the transfer portal, signing day. It's silly season. It's my favorite time of the year, and Noah and I are really looking forward to covering it on the site and on this show. But go check it out. It's $1 or 50% off your first year on thewolfpacker.com. All right, Noah, it is your first week covering NC State UNC, my second. It's one of the more fun rivalries in college football. I think one of the more underrated ones with the sheer intensity that accompanies it. These schools truly do not like each other. And after how last year's game ended with UNC's missed field goal in overtime and Ben Finley, former fourth string practice squad quarterback, leading them to a win, there's going to be a lot of emotions tied into this game, especially when you tie it in. It's senior night for the Wolfpack. There is just so much excitement coming into this game, and positive momentum for the Pack as they're riding that 4-game win streak. Noah, just from, talking to folks, doing your research this week, what are you looking forward to? What are your initial thoughts on NC State's matchup with the Tar Heels?
It's an exciting one. First of all, we can just talk about the atmosphere. It's going to be electric at Carter Finley Stadium. Dave Doran today said it's standing room only, is what the athletic administration is telling him. Every game has been sold out this year, but there's some games that are a little bit lighter attended than others. But no, NC State is expecting every single seat to be full and people to be standing on the concourse in different places to be able to get a view of the field. So I think that is going to be electric. You obviously talked about how good UNC's offense is and how good NC State's defense. This might be a Drake May versus Peyton Wilson kind of day, which would be interesting. I know who a lot of people would take in that. But these games always bring excitement, as we've talked about. No, you don't know who is gonna be the one to make the play that wins the game. And Mac Brown earlier this week said this is the game where heroes are made. Ben Finley was the hero last year. Who's going to be the hero this year? Who knows? But NC State's won the last two against Carolina, and it's going to be really interesting to see if they can defend their home field because you definitely want to win this game, but I think it's a little bit probably sweeter for the fans if NC State can do it at Carter Finley Stadium and they can celebrate afterwards rather than having some teams upset that a flag was flying at midfield. But that's what happened last year, and Carolina took a little offense to it. So keep an eye on that in case the Tar Heels win. They might try to, get back at NC State for that.
Yeah, it's a rivalry that matters. It matters to both schools, no matter what a certain team in Chapel Hill might try to say. This is a legitimate rivalry. Both sides really care about it, and there's going to be a lot of energy in Carter Finley Stadium for this one. I'm really excited for that, to see the noise, because Noah, we've been up there a couple times this season where we'll be in the press box, and the glass will start vibrating a little bit after a big play, and it's pretty electric. But I think we're going to see it go to new heights on Saturday night, 8 p.m. kickoff. That's a long day of tailgating for those Wolfpack fans. So it's going to be there's going to be a lot of energy. It's going to be a lot of fun at that game this week. Let's talk about a little bit just on the field stuff. Let's first just go through a quick note on Brennan. After the game, he did receive immediate treatment after the game because he was taking some hard hits out there. We all saw them. Uh, Nothing we have heard indicates that he will not be able to play against the Tar Heels. I mean, Noah, you talked to him yesterday after practice, and he was wearing full pads, and so there's nothing that really indicates that he's not going to be ready to go, and that sets up for a matchup against another offense that is pretty much at the top of the ACC in every statistical category, and that's led by Drake May. Everybody knows him at this point. He might be the number one pick in the NFL draft this year. He has 3,354 passing yards this season, 22 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. His arm is one of the best in the country, and he's gonna be able to find receivers in spots that other quarterbacks won't be able to. But what really catches my eye about him, Noah, is just he extends plays so well. He's already got that improvisation trait that lends itself so well to professional quarterbacks. He's already got that in college, and he does a really good job keeping plays alive with his legs. He's fast enough to, if he has the space, break off a big gain. He's really a pretty much complete quarterback, and going to be hard to stop. But I will add that sometimes when he is scrambling around trying to extend the plays, he does it a little longer than his own good. UNC has a solid offensive line, but they rank number 12 in the ACC with 28 sacks allowed. And I think some of that is Drake May holding onto the ball too long. So, NC State likes to blitz, Noah. We know that pretty well after how this season has gone. So it'll be interesting to watch just how he handles that pressure, and if he focuses a little more on getting the ball out fast, or how he adjusts NC State sending the house so much. No, is there anything you've noticed about UNC's offense that really catches your eye?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it a lot, and how, I mean, Drake May, there's a reason why people are worried what he's going to do after this game, because he's that good. Obviously, nobody knows. He's been asked the question and doesn't know. So everything runs through him. I mean, when you look at it, but they do have, the second, highest scoring offense in the ACC. They put up points, and I think that's going to be interesting, because you're playing that team is going up against the team that has the defense that gives up the third fewest yards in the league. So you have the most yards against the third fewest. I think that'll be interesting, and I think it's going to be the thing to watch, because of how Carolina can move the ball down the field, whether it's through Jake May or their running back that's really good too. It's going to be interesting. We talk about Peyton Wilson every week, but I think this is a game where he can really, really show why he is one of the best linebackers to play at NC State in a while. And he can do it against a team that he was originally supposed to play for. So,
yeah, and I mean, I think one of the things that impressed me so much last week with Peyton is I don't think he was necessarily spying Kyron Drones at Virginia Tech. We talked about that, but he was around every single quarterback run early in that game, living in the backfield. I think he had 2.5 of his 3.5 tackles for loss were in the first quarter. He really set the tone in that game, made Virginia Tech adjust their game plan, and made it clear that Drones was not going to be able to extend plays with his legs as much. I think Peyton will have to play at the level we've become accustomed to seeing him play at. I think this is a potential statement game for Peyton Wilson. I think he has the ability to put up one of those 15 tackle days against the Tar Heels. I think he's going to be on the field for more snaps than he was against Virginia Tech, and he's going to have the opportunity to impact the game in a major way. And it extends beyond Drake May. I mean, I think it'd be a disservice not to mention the rest of their offensive playmakers that help them put up a ACC leading 514.8 total yards per game. That is 50 more than the second place team in the ACC. So if you go back and look at it, Omarion Hampton, former top recruit, is a really, really talented running back. He's a physical guy, but with great speed. He had a big day against Clemson where he, ran all over them. And when he gets to the second level, he's really tough to tackle. And so far this season, he leads the conference in rushing with 1,414 yards and 15 touchdowns. it's going to be important to tackle him in the box, because if he gets that second level, an arm tackle, it's not going to bring him down. So you're going to have to be ready to be physical and come ready to tackle him. And then also just wanted to mention Tez Walker. Everyone nationwide pretty much knows his name because of the long and drawn out eligibility battle with the NCAA. But once he got to play, he's been pretty electric for them. 7 games, he has 39 receptions, 670 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That leads UNC. He's 6'3", but he's a legit deep threat, an absolute burner who can take the top off of defense. And he's gonna be a challenging matchup for the Wolfpack corners. I think it's most closely comparable to how Jamari Thrash was going to challenge the Wolfpack with Louisville. And I thought Aiden White and Shaheem Battle did a good job against Thrash when they played. So it's going to take a similar caliber performance, and it's just a really talented UNC unit. And they're going to probably put up some points on NC State, and it's all about how much the defense can limit those forced turnovers and how the offense can respond to those opportunities. All right, Noah, let's flip sides of the ball here. Let's go defense. They've got a couple standout players on a unit that has been up and down this year, but is there anything about that unit in particular that really jumps out to you that Wolfpack fans should be keeping an eye on?
I think everyone knows who Cedric Gray is. A linebacker that is one of the best in the ACC. I'd say, I don't know where you stack him up, but he's one of the best. He's second in the ACC in tackles, 104, just trails Peyton Wilson at 123. So I think he's the kind of guy that is going to be similar to Peyton Wilson. You don't get 104 tackles to slate in the air without being around the ball as much as you are, and he will be this weekend. So I think wherever the ball goes, most likely going to see Cedric Gray there. And he's one of, you look at the ACC as a whole, they've got a lot of good linebackers. Peyton Wilson, Cedric Gray. I mean, the list goes. I think there's a possibility they could get 2 or 3 All-American linebackers, and this is a week where we could see
from Clemson on there.
Yeah. So I mean, you see 2 of them on the field this weekend. I think it's going to be a good linebacker battle. So you're looking at defensively for North Carolina. Cedric Gray definitely, I think, is on the top of Robert and I's priorities list to figure out where he's at on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, he's just someone that is around the ball all the time, and they count on him to make a lot of plays. Like, they need him to. It's kind of similar to how early in the season Peyton Wilson was having to really just do arguably a little too much on defense at times. So kind of a similar role. The other guy I wanted to highlight on that side of the ball is Kamen Rucker, who he has 8.5 sacks so far this year. It's the number 3 total in the ACC. His Pro Football Focus pass rushing grade is 90. For context, that puts him amongst the elite pass rushers in the ACC. Not many people can get above 90. So really talented pass rusher. He, I thought NC State did a good job against Virginia Tech in handling Antoine Powell-Ryland, who is one of the few pass rushers who can equal Rutgers' sack total this year. So, and they did that by quick passes. They did it by establishing a run game and, just moving Brennan outside of the pocket a lot too on some more of the intermediate throws and stuff, which I thought was cool. I thought that was a cool wrinkle that Anai threw in there. And I think you'll see a similar game plan to that where, Armstrong's going to be on the move and be able to either take off or make a throw and, stuff like that. That'll be very efficient and keep NC State ahead of the chains and out of those tackle for loss scenarios that put them in long down and distances. Now, I will say, other than that, the North Carolina defense does not exactly jump off the page. Against Clemson, they missed 20 tackles, Noah. They allowed 179 yards after contact against the running backs. That is just not a good number. It was just not a very physical North Carolina defense that allowed a lot of extra yards by Clemson rushers. And I think NC State needs to come in and just be physical. If they can embrace that same tough, hard-nosed mentality that's gotten to them to this 4-game winning streak, I think they're going to be able to have success against North Carolina's defense Saturday night. I will add that their defense it's an opportunistic squad. Uh, they were they led the ACC in interceptions for most of the season. That number has since dropped a little bit, but they're still going to be able to register some takeaways and make plays in the secondary when they're targeted that much, like I'm sure they will be Saturday night. But yeah, so it's going to be an interesting group to watch. They allow like around 26 points per game. That's been about where NC State has sat around during its winning streak here. So we're going to see how that goes for them. And all right, before we go to break, just a quick big picture look here, Noah. Each week we like to give just one key of the game, like just one thing that you think could help decide this matchup. Noah, where do you think this game will be, swung and decided against the Tar Heels?
It's a spot we've seen be productive the last 2 weeks. They both come out with wins, which is Brendan Armstrong's ability to run the ball. And we talk about his passing ability, he's great at that. But when we talk about a defense that gives up 176 yards after contact to Clemson, Brennan feeds on running through tackles and taking the contact. So I think that's key for NC State is to get him going on the ground because it's good to get the run game going, and he's been, the spark basically the whole year of getting that rolling. I mean, the running backs have had their time. Kendrick Raphael, he'll probably see a good number of carries this weekend. But I think Brendan Armstrong kind of sets the tone with his ability to run, and I think that'll be pretty big against Carolina, saying he's here and he's ready to go out, with a bang in his last ever home game of his college career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of an underrated part of this is it is his senior day. It is his last opportunity to play in front of a home crowd that was hesitant to embrace him at times this year. And I mean, shoot, Wolfpack Nation's loving them some Brennan Armstrong right now. So I think he's going to get a just raucous welcoming from the crowd Saturday night. Because these past two starts they've both been on the road. They haven't the fans really haven't had a chance to in person express their happiness for Armstrong's play of late. But no, we've seen it. It's been on our message board. We've seen it on social media. We've seen it just from talking to people. I think there's just such an intense pride that these fans now have for Brennan Armstrong, and it's going to be cool to see him feel that love on senior day. My key to the game, I'm going to switch sides of the ball. It's going to be just kind of revolve around stopping tight ends. Noah, we've had this discussion before, but it's still an issue at times for the Pack defense. A Pack defense that, like, hey, I'm nitpicking here. It is an awesome defense, and it is playing at an elite level, but tight end coverage has lacked at times, and UNC has three really good tight ends that they're going to have to keep an eye on. Bryson Nesbitt, John Copenhaver, and Kamari Morales. They've combined for 62 catches for 910 yards this year. Nesbitt leads that group. I'm hesitant to even call him a tight end. I mean, he's 6'5". He's a big guy. He plays pretty much all of his snaps in the slot. He's a really good player. He has 39 catches and 5 touchdowns this year. And Morales and Copenhaver mostly play. They'll even line up in the backfield at times, but they're mostly in the traditional inline tight end role. And when you have like a dynamic running back like Hampton, kind of doing his thing, you got to keep an eye out for you have to keep an eye out for the tight ends and play action and just how they can kind of get loose and make big plays that way, which is something that teams have had success doing against NC State this year. Just keep an eye on that. I'm sure that's going to be a point of emphasis Saturday night for the Pack. All right. Well, we'll get back into our preview, but before we do so, I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is a ticket buying and selling marketplace where whether you're looking for tickets to the UNC NC State game, a basketball game, a Hurricanes hockey game, just a concert, comedy show, anything you can think of, Game Time has it. Noah, this whole season, I've been using the UNC NC State game as my example on the Game Time app and talking about how I like buying tickets at the last minute. Well, hey, It's getting to the last minute, and there are very limited amounts of tickets available for this game, even on the resale market. Right now, if you go and look at the Game Time app, it'll show you the cheapest deal, and it'll show you the exact view from your seat. I'll hold it up for those watching on YouTube. You can see it shows you the ticket, the price, and your seat view. I think that's really cool. It's a really cool feature. It's why I use Game Time. It's why I used them before they were a sponsor of this podcast. And if you do check it out, which I'd encourage, either download it on the App Store or go check it out at gametime.co. That's not .com, that's .co. If you do, use code Wolfpack. It's all caps Wolfpack for $20 off your first purchase. That might get you to close to around $100 for the UNC game. It's a hot ticket right now, but go check it out. And it's Game Time app at gametime.co. All right, Noah, this is the point of the podcast where we like to make our predictions, both bold and modest. So let's dive into it. Right now, NC State is once again a home underdog. They were a home underdog against Miami and Clemson. Of course, they won those outright and covered. So it's really just 2.5 point underdogs right now. No, just off of everything that you've heard, seen, thought about this week, you think NC State's going to cover that number?
They haven't showed me that they can't. 4 weeks in a row, they've done it. They've covered the spread. They're 4-0. Give me, this isn't betting advice, but give me the Pack to cover the 2.5.
I'm fully with you. I think NC State is not only the better team in this matchup. I think they have more momentum, and they're going to be in front of, I think, one of the louder crowds that we've really experienced that has really been in Carter Finley in a while. I have high expectations for the atmosphere this weekend. I'm excited about it. But I'm definitely picking NC State to cover this one. And the more interesting number here, in my opinion, is the over-under. It's at 54.5, which I think is interesting. No, it's a pretty high number, right? No, so just where what are you thinking? I think it's been a while since we've seen an NC State over/under in the 50s.
Yeah, I'm used to these over/unders being in the 40s, maybe even high 30. I think we had a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. Like, you could see that it's being a high-scoring game if NC State's defense doesn't play to what it has been the last few weeks, right? You could see it getting to that point, which they played really well in the first half of Tech. They played prevent in the second half, kind of let Tech score because they're like, you know what, take time off the clock, go for it, like whatever. So I see where Vegas is coming from. But I just can't see, what is it, 54.5 you said? I just can't see 54.5 points in this game. I just don't. So I'll go under.
I'm with you. I think that's a weirdly high number, to be honest. Maybe they know something we don't, but I think NC State's defense is good enough to slow down and hold UNC below its average, and I just don't see that total going above that. All right. Now at this point in the show, we like to go over just kind of our predictions for the final score, and then predict some stat leaders. So Noah, let's just rip the Band-Aid off here. What is your final score prediction for NC State versus UNC?
24-13 Wolfpack. I think they come out and send a message. 24 has been the magic number. I'm sticking with it. They did score 35 this past weekend, but 24 has been the number for a while this season. So stick with it, and I think the defense shows up. Peyton Wilson's last game in Carter Finley, he's going to be fired up. It's a team he was going to play for at one point in high school. Picked the Wolfpack, has played well. I think the defense shows up. 24-13.
If this defense can hold UNC's offense to 13 points, then they need to double Tony Gibson's salary. I mean, holy crap, that would be one heck of a performance. But, we've seen it. We've seen it earlier this year. Louisville's offense, it was not far behind what UNC's offense is doing. So, and they held them. They completely shut down that team. So
same with Miami.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I listeners might be hearing that and being like, "Whoa, Noah, I don't know about that one," but this defense has been playing at an elite level, It has, the second half against Virginia Tech aside, it is just really, really playing just some awesome football right now. I don't see them holding them that low, but I don't think UNC gets above 30 points. I have this at a 28-27 victory for NC State. Weird things happen in this rivalry, especially the past couple years. And I think it is going to be another one of those instant classic finishes at Carter Finley Stadium. It's one of those games where you throw the record out the table, you throw really momentum out of the window. It's going to be a hard-fought, intense rivalry game. But I'm going to give the edge to the Pack on the back of a couple of clutch defensive stops in the final minutes. All right, Noah, let's go through our stat predictions and start with rushing. A quick news bit for those of you who haven't heard. Michael Allen's not playing in this game. He was hurt previously against Wake Forest and has now decided to opt out of the remainder of the year and enter the transfer portal when it opens. So now you have a backfield with Kendrick Raphael, Delbert Mims, and Jordan Poole, who was playing linebacker a month ago. So interesting group. DeMarcus Jones is hurt also. He was not listed on the depth chart this week and has not played in the last few matchups. So Noah, if you had to predict a leading rusher for this game, who would you go with?
Referenced it earlier. If you're going to get him going, he's going to lead them in rushing. Brennan Armstrong, he's led them in rushing, the last 3 games, I believe? Yeah. So he's done well. He's led them in rushing for over half of their games now, period. For me, we've had them in 4 of their first 5, and now the last 3, so that's 7. Good math there. So I think he leads in rushing. Does he get 22 carries, 21 carries like he had at Virginia Tech? Probably not. But he may get close to that 100-yard mark where he's gotten close to the last two games. Did get over it at Virginia Tech and then kind of took some big loss of yards just to run the clock out. But Brandon Armstrong leads the Pack in rushing this week yet again.
Yeah, I mean it's a good pick. You look at Brennan's physical rushing style too, and then you go watch some of the clips of UNC's defense, and I'm just like, man, I don't know if they're going to be able to tackle him at a high rate. I think Brennan could have a huge day on the ground. I think you're totally right. Maybe he will get up to that 20 carry mark because I think he's going to be able to have a lot of success. I think he's going to get a lot of yards after contact, and he's going to be a hard guy to stop in the red zone too. I think his carries are going to be very heavy in the red zone. Kind of going off the same logic, I'm going to go with KC here, Kevin Concepcion. I think if there's any game to kind of go back to that pop pass, handoff out of the backfield, KC-centered offense, it's this one. Because, he's been hard to tackle all year. Against, some pretty talented defenses, he's made them look pretty silly. I think he'll be able to, again, same sort of deal, just get a lot of yards after the catch, a lot of yards after contact, and I think he'll get enough carries out of the backfield and maybe break one really long to I'll pick him for leading rusher, even though I think Brennan's going to lead them in rushing. But I'll go KC here because I think he could have a couple huge runs and, reverses, stuff like that Anai has started to pull out here late in the season. Next up, let's talk about receiving. Speaking of Kevin Concepcion, it's the same sort of deal as it has been all season. KC has just kind of carried the passing offense. He's this focal point of the offense, whether it's a deep route down the seam or a pop pass. But Noah, do you have anything exciting, anything off the beaten path here for our receiver prediction?
So I thought about it, and I like to be bold, but I can't be bold here. He had 7 receptions against Virginia Tech. Everyone else had 2 or less. So just going off that number, it's hard to be the leading receiver when you have 2 catches and another guy's had 7. Granted, some are these pop passes, which is basically a handoff, but counts as a pass, so therefore Kevin Concepcion will lead them in receiving. This year he's at 57 receptions, 636 yards, 8 touchdowns. All of those are true freshman records. But the yards one, I don't know if they're going to actually call it a freshman record because there is a redshirt freshman that did have a pretty big year. But true freshman, he holds the record for all 3.
Yeah, I mean, just what a huge season for it has been. Just record breaking year for KC. And for those of you who followed his recruitment, he almost went to UNC. His final two were NC State and UNC. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. See maybe if there's a little extra motivation from the freshman there, because a year ago this time, or a little over that, I should say, he was still considering the Tar Heels. He knows the staff there really well. He knows a lot of their players. So it'll be cool. I think it'll be a cool game for Casey. I could see him getting in the end zone for sure. And what about tackling, Noah? We can always point to Peyton Wilson. He's the best linebacker in the country. He's going to bring home some major hardware this year. But who do you see leading NC State in tackles this game?
Peyton Wilson. This man is a former North Carolina commit. I've mentioned it multiple times now, but I think he's going to have extra motivation. One, because of that. Two, because it's his last game in the Carter ever. And three, I think he cements his awards that he's going to win this year. He's already a finalist for the Butkus and Degurski. He's a semifinalist for the Bednarik. I think he has a big game Saturday, probably wins all three, and really cements himself as the best college defensive player in 2023.
Wow. So are you calling your shot? You think he's going to clean sweep the postseason awards?
If he puts up 13 tackles, 2 TFLs, a pick against Carolina, I think it happens.
Yeah. I think that's reasonable. I mean, he's deserving. He's just having same with this similar thing with KC, where he's just having such an awesome season that the postseason awards are going to start to fall in, and all you can do is just tip your hat, applaud, because it has been a historic, just kind of unprecedented run by Peyton this year that should not be taken for granted. With that said, I'm not picking him to lead the team in tackles. I'm going to go with Devin Boykin here, because I think NC State's going to do a good job shutting down the run against UNC. But I think there's going to be I think Drake May's tough to stop. I think they're going to be able to get their passing offense going. And Boykin is someone who a lot of times this season has been there to just kind of clean things up, make critical plays to stop big gains. And I'm going to pick him there. I think this could be a game where you have 4 or 5 guys around that 8 to 10 tackle mark. I think it's going to be a spread out day because UNC spreads the ball around so much. But the safe money's with Peyton. But I'm going to go with Devin Boykin here and go with that. That might be my bold prediction anyways. But Noah, before we get out of here, let's just wrap things up with one more bold prediction. Just one thing that Wolfpack fans can look forward to seeing this weekend that they might not expect.
I will say this. It's not expected, but it will happen. We went over on it, but last week it's okay. On the ones on the pod, I need to still check what I did on my written version, which will be updated on Friday. We'll have 5 more, but we'll preview now. Jordan Poole scores another touchdown this weekend.
I like it. Yeah. I mean that the pass play he scored on his first one was cool. No one saw it coming. They
see it coming now.
Right now, I mean, it's kind of like by necessity. He's been such a good blocker at fullback, but I think I'd like to see him get a few more, a couple carries, maybe. See what he can do on the ground, because it's not a deep running back room at this point. So I think that's a fun prediction. I'll go with that. I'll agree. I think that's a good one as well. But I'm going to go with 4 more sacks. I think they're going to get into the backfield pretty early and often against Drake May. I think it's going to be, at home the past couple games, a lot of their strategy, it seems like, get to the quarterback early, hit him hard, and rattle him. I mean, that's what they've done pretty consistently at home this year, is rattling the opposing quarterback. And that leads to interceptions. It leads to fumbles. It leads to overall chaos. And I think it's going to lead to more than 4 sacks against the Tar Heels. Like I said earlier, they've allowed 28 through their 11 games this year. So statistically, it's not even that bold of a prediction. But I think the Wolfpack will, like Davin Van could, create some chaos. Maybe you have Sean Brown coming off of a safety blitz and delivers a big hit. Just stuff like that. I think it could be a fun, day for the Wolfpack pass rush. All right. Well, this was quite the positive podcast. I think it's pretty clear that Noah and I are pretty optimistic about the game. And now that we've said all this, it's probably going to go nothing like what we've predicted. But hey, that's the fun of college football. It's rivalry week. It's one of the most fun stretches of the year. And Noah and I are super excited to cover it with all of you. Thank you all for listening and watching. Before we get out of here, I have to say one more thank you to our other sponsor, Factor. This holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you fuel up fast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepped, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while tackling all your holiday to-dos. Noah, we've both had these meals because Factor was nice enough to send us some free ones, and they're pretty dang good. I really enjoyed the pasta ones they had. It was just it was cool. I'm not like the biggest like meal delivery guy, but Factor might have changed my stance on it because I really enjoyed it. They had like these good smoothies that came along with the meal kits too. And it just takes so much stress out of your day because you don't have to worry about cooking. You don't have to worry about grocery shopping. It just shows up at your door and it's not frozen. It is ready to prepare in 2 minutes in the microwave. So, shout out Factor. Go ahead and head to factormeals.com/Wolfpacker50 and use code Wolfpacker50 to get 50% off. That's code Wolfpacker50 at factormeals.com/Wolfpacker50 to get 50% off. That's a great deal. All right. Thanks again, everyone. And we will be back Sunday morning to recap what will be a late night in Carter Finley Stadium that might end in a Wolfpack W.